Welcome to Goa for more glitz and glamour. I'm at this beautiful heritage space in Panjim called the Sunaparanta Centre for Arts, which is showcasing Goa in film. And this time around, it's the second edition. Thousands of people choose Goa as a wedding destination. This festival gives you a chance to see a wedding with a difference. And that's all thanks to young Turk Akshay Parvatkar, who's screening his film, The First Wedding.
So the first wedding is kind of about, it's a mockumentary first of all,
Okay.
and so it deals with, so it's a story about a couple who's the first couple to get married in this world of same-sex couples basically.
Okay.
And it's sort of a take on like what today's world and how we perceive homosexuality and marriages in that sense.
So, from what you said, now there's a juxtaposition of present day societal marital norms versus what you have shown in the film, which is the opposite, and the protagonists, almost polar opposites of today's reality. Now, in this age where small budget films, new filmmakers, multiplex viewer centric content is moving towards more realism, moving towards genuinely showing society as it is, what causes you to choose something like this where you're showing a diametrically opposite society?
So I mean, topics like this which people do not want to talk about or are uncomfortable with having a conversation about these topics, it's best to like not preach to people and just tell as it is. So this mockumentary is a very interesting and fun approach to telling stories, because it basically shows it like a real story, like it's grounded, but it is not. So and as because I'm a writer by profession, as in I've studied writing, so it gives me more to do in terms of writing itself. So I find that medium itself as a very interesting space to explore without directly preaching to the audience that this is what I'm saying, but making it a fun experience also for them.
Where all is the film being screened? Is it on the festival circuit? If somebody is not a festival movie goer, then where can they watch the film?
We finished the film in 2020 December, and after that the film has been screened in over 25 film festivals, and so it's done kafi a lot of rounds in the film festival circuit. In India, we had a screening in the US also, in France also. So it's been viewed all over the place, and so in terms of and we've won a lot of awards for it. Even the in terms of mainstream appreciation, the main actress who played the role, she got a Filmfare Award, which is sort of, I mean, it was a good validation in terms of like getting a mainstream award for such a indie short film where people are just talking to the camera, which I mean in general people might not consider acting in a sense. So that was a nice validation, and yeah, I'm hopeful that the film will screen on some kind of OTT platform soon enough for everybody to watch.
Okay, so if you're saying since your lead actress has won validation, now that's clearly the critics and the more industry kind of validation. What's the response been from viewers?
I mean, it's always been great. I mean, people have the major thing, like people spoke to me about how interestingly and in a fun way we've been able to talk about this topic. And for me, short films have always been about starting a conversation. I mean, the first thing you can, I mean, there should be sort of criticism, which I'm very open to it. And my main thing in all of my short films that I do is like, if I am able to make two people converse about the topic that I made film on, and that's much more validation than an award for me. So it's been majorly positive, and yeah, I mean, it's been good.
Each morning, Goa wakes up to the toot of the puder, a local baker. Inextricably entwined in the life of the Goan is bread. Bread is our sustenance. Goan at heart, director Sonia Filintu's film Bread and Belonging is screening, and she spoke to Oreena.
Sonia, you know, we are synonymous with getting up in the morning and we want our pav and bhaji. Okay, your movie is Bread and Belonging, talking about the Goan pao. Can you throw light on how you came up with this concept? Were you baking something at home and the pao rose up and that's how you thought of something like that?
Not quite actually, but it was definitely to do with looking for bread actually. So
Okay.
I come from this coastal village. Now in my adult life I've been living outside of Goa.
Okay.
So every time I came back I would see that the bakers who go to people's houses or when I went to the bakery, the baker has changed, it's a
Okay.
different baker, and so that got me very interested to know this changes over the last few years or even decades. The bakeries, I could see there was some kind of change, so that got me interested, and I'm always interested in telling stories about Goa and what's happening. So then I started meeting bakers.
Okay.
I would go literally early morning and catch them when they're out on their cycle and have a quick chat with them. They didn't have too much time to talk because
Yes.
they've always
They're on the move, they're on their cycles.
Yes. So and I got very interested to know that something like bread, which was food that was brought to Goa and then became very much part of Goa.
Good. Yes.
Bread is our culture, our cuisine.
Exactly.
It's and so something like that, which is now integral to Goa, is being baked by bakers who might not be multi-generational Goan
Goans,
bakers
exactly.
over the last few decades. So that was my in point to know what is happening in the world of Goan bread, who are the bakers, and
And where have the
Yeah.
traditional Goan bakers gone?
Yeah.
So either they've
Yeah.
migrated or their family is not continuing with the tradition, but we still need our pao every morning. So
True,
somebody
true.
has to take it
Sure.
forward. So this is what your film shows, Bread and Belonging.
Sure, yeah, because see, when there is a void created, the void is filled.
Being filled,
It's
yeah.
being filled by different set of bakers. But at the same time, the community. Food is a community thing. Bread is a very community thing. So
Yes.
there is this. So there were multiple strands in the film. There is a traditional multi-generational Goan baker who continues to bake despite many challenges.
Exactly.
There is a migrant bakery, if I may say
Yes.
so, where the whole bakery is run by people from across the border of Goa,
Exactly.
and how they are adapting. It's a trade for them, and so the community trying to keep it together, trying to revive the bread of the old, which is also symbolic of trying to hold on to.
We
to
don't
a
want to
few
let
things.
it go.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
as long as we
Yeah.
can continue. Sonia, how did you get into filmmaking? Was that
Ah.
always something that you wanted to do, or what was that progression from what you were doing to how you got behind the camera?
I was always interested in storytelling.
Yes.
Okay.
But you took this
and-
route.
Yes, I
Yes.
took this route. So when I finished my graduation in Goa, when I went out to study, I studied and then I went to Bombay.
Okay.
Like
Yeah,
everyone
the-
who wants to tell stories. Not everyone, but
Most of them would
yeah,
go. That's
yeah.
our-
So
that's
then
our mecca of
Yes,
filmmaking.
yeah. So I started working with a documentary filmmaker there.
Okay.
Because that is what interested me at that time, and then I ended up doing a lot of things like writing and different genres of filmmaking, and then full circle back into then making documentaries myself.
A film festival is a great platform for budding producers to see what's on offer and what they can learn from it. Bambino spoke to producer Swapnil, and his journey might just inspire you.
Tell us about your tryst with films and how your love for movies.
Okay, so basically my passion towards filmmaking started through theatre, as most of the people do. So I was actively doing theatre, and then slowly got into short films. My friend Rajesh Karekar, he used to do a lot of short films and he used to go as junior artist also.
So this was in college, school?
This was in higher secondary time. The liking for acting was from childhood time, because my mother used to make me participate in all kind of these things.
Was she also somebody in the family?
No.
In theatre, or?
She is a teacher. She
Okay.
teaches for primaries.
Okay.
Now she's retired, but she had liking towards acting field, and she used to write and all.
So तुका मातशी आवड बी येयली
आवड खूप
आसतली.
आलेली आहे सहज. And it's because of her only I could step into this kind of field. आणि then we used to go like acting करपाची खूप उमेद आशिल्ली न्ही, so we used to go as junior artist for Hindi films खंयची गोंयान शूट जाताली तर थिंगा we used to go.
मातशे सायड रोल बी केला
सायड रोल करपाक बेश्टा फाटल्यान बागो बिगो करपाक तसलें. मागीर ते करता करता we started doing our own short films as a director and all. And then in 2012 I made my first feature film. It was Suring, based on Pundlik Naik's drama. And then 2014 Home Sweet Home, Home Sweet Home 1, Home Sweet Home 2, followed by Guest of the Coffee Sao. All those three films were like
in the
did
limelight.
good.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, did
limelight.
really well. Yes.
Yeah. So that is how to sum up.
Okay, so your story started from the time you were young.
Yeah.
Swapnil, आमकां सांग, how is it juggling a role as an actor and a director?
So basically the thing is, if you have passion or love for something, then that is not like a challenging thing or a tough thing for you. So I have liking towards acting as well as for direction. So it was always a wonderful journey, though it was very tough switching the roles at a time, but it was always a loving journey. And when I used to I got my exposure towards feature film when I used to work with Rajendra Talak. So when he used to direct and he used to also be the producer of the film, so I used to always see him doing multiple tasking things, and many people were also there who were part of on screen as well as off screen. So that was what giving me more motivation that I can also try something multitasking.
And I'm sure in the last say decade, I'll maybe sum it up, there's lots of opportunity for filmmakers like you to showcase your films on OTT platforms. There are so many places. So how has it been in the last 10 years?
Frankly speaking, IFFI has been a very good move by the government as well as for the filmmakers in Goa, because after IFFI people because people hardly knew about Konkani film industry pan India level, but after IFFI and because of some films which won national awards for Goa for Konkani films, so the attraction came to the Konkani films as well. OTT has not been very opening towards Konkani film till now. So they prefer Konkani films because of the population globally. But yeah, some Goan producers have started their own OTT platform, so that is also getting a good response. So it's like a journey, so we are continuing. Of course, post-pandemic situations are different. Pandemic was tough for everyone, and especially for Goan filmmakers and Goan artists as well.
Lots of Goan artists and filmmakers who have been budding filmmakers have been coming up.
It's a very good move, in fact, because I remember when we were very young. I'm still young, but in those days of struggling time, there were not so many opportunities.
Yes.
But now, every now and then, there has been ESG has been hosting some short film competition. There was a very good short film competition of 60 hours, which was hosted last year, and one of the film got into Indian panoramas, the participant film. So Sunaparanta is hosting this kind of film festival is really a good platform for the filmmakers, the budding filmmakers, as well as for the experienced filmmakers, because many a time we learn a lot from the upcoming talent, because now today's talent, it's really like it's heads off, because there are so much multi-talented people all around. And whenever I see films of young filmmaker, I really feel like because we are lucky, we are blessed that we had some grace and we got this opportunity and so much exposure. But now people have to really struggle a lot to showcase their talent, and they are so multi-talented that it's like a learning process for us also.
Right,
so it's a very, I would like to congratulate Sunaparanta for hosting such kind of film festivals.
Yes, and I think now since technology has become like this small, I think, that's also an advantage to youngsters.
It's an advantage definitely, because since digital revolution, people earlier it was a very costlier business and it was very tough business. But I just want to tell all the filmmakers that even though now technology is so easily available, but we have to follow certain discipline of filmmaking. Otherwise, there are disadvantages as well, which becomes a byproduct of.
That's correct.
A filmmaker for over 15 years, she has travelled and worked across continents, and this time around she is extremely happy to be here again. She is Nalini Elvino de Souza, filmmaker, and she spoke to Savio.
She's worked in 3 continents, in Asia, in Europe and in Africa. Nalini Elvino de Souza, since you were já que nasceu em Portugal, bem-vindo. And since you were married in Goa, Waldo Yoka to you. So how is this festival treating you?
Oh, I'm really happy because I was here for the first festival. I helped curating the first festival here in Goan Film in 2019. And that time only I thought it was such a good idea to have a space to show Goan movies, right?
Yeah.
We are so scattered, we show our movies outside and we don't know each other, that is the main thing. And this is a superb venue so that we can all, you know, even if we, like some of the filmmakers which are going to be here in the second edition, I met them last year.
Oh.
But now I'll know what the new work that
Yeah.
they are doing and that we're going to do in the future.
Yes.
And maybe also we will be able to help each other, no?
Yes.
In our next productions. So
How do you think the culture of films has improved and increased in Goa since the time you started?
So I didn't start that long. Maybe I started in 2005.
Yeah, that's 15 years more. Yeah.
15 years more. Yeah, 15 years. I think it has improved. I remember when I first started, we had to ask a lot of help in Bombay or in Delhi because we didn't have certain, you know, technology or edition or for sound. We had to go out, right?
Yeah.
Out of Goa, I'm saying, not out of India. But now there's a lot of things we are doing already here,
Yes.
inside Goa. We don't need to go to, you know, to the big cities to
Yes.
to get our work done.
You have the facilities and the resource as well.
Yes,
In
yes,
Goa.
yes, yes.
Now coming to this year's festival and your wonderful film, The Club, is being screened at this festival. Take us through this journey of yours. You went with your crew to Africa and you did a lovely story. So tell us more.
It's quite interesting because I went to Tanzania to show my previous movie, which was
Okay.
Special Envoy.
Yeah.
And then I was with Pedro Pombo, who is an anthropologist, and we had presented the movie there, we had a discussion, and then we had one free day, just one.
Okay.
And Pedro said, let's go to Zanzibar.
Oh.
And it's just 20 minutes from Dar es Salaam to
Okay.
Zanzibar. So we took the plane, we went to Zanzibar, and you know, I just posted a picture on Facebook saying, I'm in Zanzibar, this is so beautiful. And then suddenly I had, I don't know how many go
A
and
big
saying,
response.
yeah, I was born here, my grandmother was born here, I have such lovely memories from Zanzibar. I said, wow, there is a Goan connection,
Yeah.
I didn't know about it. So I told Pedro, why don't we do something about it? I knew that RTP was going to open for, you know, for funds. I mean, you could give your proposals.
Yeah.
I said, why not? Just
Yeah.
maybe we won't get it, but we'll just try it. So we sat down on the beach drinking beer and we wrote our first proposal, and you know what, it was accepted.
Sometimes
RTP.
you get better thoughts when you are drinking beer. I think.
Yeah, maybe. So it was accepted. It was funded by RTP, and that's how we embarked on this adventure. And then actually, while shooting, we found out other stories. But our main focus here was actually in the club, the Dar es Salaam Institute, which is there in Dar es Salaam, right? And completed 100 years in December 2019.
Fantastic.
And we were there for the new year, and I'm telling Savio, it was the best experience ever. I was so far away from home, and I felt at home.
Oh, fabulous.
You know, it's
Fabulous.
it was really lovely.
How easy or difficult, or both in certain areas, was it to make this documentary? You had to choose a cast, you had to choose the location and stuff like that.
Well, to contact the people beforehand was difficult because you know, sometimes you write emails, people don't reply to you. Then I told Pedro, forget about it, we'll just go there and we'll meet everybody in the institute and we'll take it from there. Let's see what happens. And actually everything went well. Technical problems, yes, because sometimes we wanted something, it didn't happen, or we wanted certain equipment. We couldn't take much equipment with us, right?
Okay.
And then in such a short time, it was not difficult. It was not easy to find the equipment we wanted in Dar es Salaam. but we managed. I
Okay.
think we managed. I mean, that is this difficulty is part of the
You're
process,
okay,
right?
yeah.
It's okay.
Can you tell our viewers, I mean, you being the director, in short, the synopsis of this story?
Yes, so the club per se is like an institution in Dar es Salaam, and it's an heritage building. Actually, it's an heritage building, and what we wanted to portray is how the Goans felt like at home inside that institute. And most importantly, what I've learned is that how music migrated from Goa to Dar es Salaam in that institute, and from there, after 1961, is spread out to Canada, to UK, and even here to Goa. So in the movie, you'll see musicians which were born there and now play here in Goa, like Steve Stekare. But there are others who are having a brilliant careers outside in Canada and US and UK. So it's, I mean, this is the most wonderful thing, how music travels.
And for the near future, what are any of your thoughts on new projects coming up? If you can give us an insight
Yes,
into
I
this.
can, and I'm so grateful to VM Salgonka Foundation because I got a fellowship, and with that I'm going to come up with a documentary which is based on our Goan theatre.
Wow.
I'm thinking of specific 3 composers on theatre and their cantara, but that will be the project for next year. Yeah, beginning of 2024.
Yeah.
We'll have a movie on theatre, Goan theatre.
Fabulous. Nalini Elvino de Souza, director of the club.
Films reflect reality, and the bare naked truth can often be disturbing. Ronak Kamat's film Bear isn't the easiest watch, but it should definitely be on your watch list. Here's why.
So Bear is actually a genre film with social commentary. There was some incidents that happened in Goa about, I'd like to say 3 or 4 years ago, when a man broke into some women's apartments and
Yep.
he was watching them sleep. So he
Yeah.
was caught, and that kind of, people sort of moved on from that, but that stayed with me. And then of course the Me Too movement happened, and the Me Too movement sort of made me, I mean, obviously there were these harrowing stories that were coming out, but what really got me was the fact that people were asking questions like, why is she saying this now? Like, what does she want? And stuff like that. And I was like, wait, hang on a second. She's just probably saying something that's very difficult for her, and she's coming out and speaking to the world and getting probably a lot of, mixed reactions for what
Yeah.
she's saying. So why is everybody blaming her instead of like questioning the person who did whatever they did?
Correct.
So that sort of made me put 2 and 2 together, and I thought, remember that guy who did that? What if I put that with the story of a woman who nobody believes, and then maybe we can sort of come up with something there. And that was the main sort of inspiration behind it, and it took me about a few days to write, but then from there till the time that I actually shot it, probably 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we shot just before COVID. So there was a big break of like 3 months, and we couldn't do anything because there was lockdown. And then after that, we sort of started editing it, and then did the music and all of that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Bear premiered at Liftoff in Toronto. It's won numerous awards in India since then. What's it feel like, that whole experience of being lauded, of owning something that is so well appreciated?
I think you can't, I try not to bury myself too much into that, but the thing about it is though that I think I made a documentary before that kind of went to a few festivals and stuff like that, but I think it feels a little bit different when it's a fiction film,
Yeah.
especially because when it's done from scratch, if you know what I mean, and more than myself, I usually feel proud of the actors and stuff like that, and how we pulled off something like this in like 6 days of shooting. So it's quite difficult because it was quite a rigorous shoot. I mean, for us it was fun, but to put actors in that zone, which is kind of a disturbing zone,
Yeah.
and how they coped with it and how they reacted to it. And for me, any adulation is sort of a little bit like kind of look at Goa, look at these actors. And I've been showing the film around to the film industry in Bombay, a couple of people from there, and it's always been not about myself and not about
this, but it's usually about, if you guys are shooting something in Goa, just take a look at our actors. We have some really good actors here, and you know, you don't have to bring someone who do something in Hindi. You can get some really good Konkani speaking actors. So it's mostly been about that. So that recognition, I think, for me means more because it kind of transfers on to them than myself.
So what's it feel like being at the second edition of Goan Film?
Oh, I think it's very exciting because like we wanted to obviously screen it in Goa because we shot it in 2020, so it's almost been 3 years now. So at some point you got to bring it home and have people from Goa watch it. But for me, like the thing is, like at the last edition we had Kazu and we had Scars, another film that I had made. And it was great to kind of interact with Goans and sort of see what they think about it. And I actually think that we have a really matured audience because these are people who are coming from like different parts of Goa, you know, to just sit and watch a bunch of Goan films. And for me, that's something that's quite exciting because and the last edition also had some really like interesting films, some documentaries, some slightly difficult subjects, and people react well. You know, they're interested in seeing what other Goans are doing, and I think there's a lot of like camaraderie between, you know, other filmmakers as well, and also the people kind of supporting it. So that's good. Yeah.
Great. Well, all the best with their journey and your own. Thanks so much
Thanks
for speaking
so much.
to us.
That's nice. Thank you.
All great endeavors need a patron, none more so than the arts. Isheta Salgaonkar is that person for Sunaparanta Centre for Arts, and she speaks to us as she shares her thoughts.
Isheta, welcome to the show, and tell us at the outset, the second edition of Goan Film, how happy are you all to lend or do your bit for increasing film culture in Goa?
First of all, thank you, Savio, and thank you to the entire Doordarshan team for making the space to promote all of our activities and be so supportive over the years. I think at Sunaparanta over the years we have looked at the various platforms available to artists and tried to see where we can fill the gaps within that, really. And especially when it comes to film, Goan film and Konkani film has come such a long way since the 1950s to today, and there are so many stories to be told, so many young filmmakers to support, but there is no real point in making a film if you can't provide an audience for it. And we would love to have that audience expand every year. This year we had over 100 people every day for the 3-day film festival of Goa in film of this edition, the second edition. So that was really heartening to see that support for filmmakers. People stay on, have discussions with the filmmakers about what they're doing, how they go about it, and how they tell their stories. So that was really lovely. It's of course the second edition, as you said, 2019. We didn't think we would have to wait 3 years for the second edition, but we did, and I really look forward to hosting it again and hopefully maybe showing more films and maybe even making it a little longer as far as we can.
So would you say that you all are looking at showcasing the past, as in films that have been screened 50 years back or 40 years back, as well as looking to the future with young Goan filmmakers?
I would say in all of our programming, we don't necessarily put a time limit. So I think our history is very important to learn where we came from, the evolution of practices, as well as subject matter. So if you see, this year's festival had a very wide range of subject matter, from diaspora to sexuality to, you know, finding yourself, all kinds of subjects. So it would be very open to the idea of screening older films to today's films. I think as Goans we all feel we shouldn't forget where we came from and our very rich history. And film, I think especially offers a very unique medium to gather people in a way that other mediums maybe don't do it as successfully, because all generations feel very enticed by film. You know, you can watch it together with your entire 3-4 generations and have a discussion, and it's interesting to see the perspectives that come from it.
Isheta, in case you didn't know, is from a family that loves all things Goan, right from her grandfather who did so much for Goan football to now Isheta's generation who is doing everything for films as well. So how's been your journey being in this family, and your love for Goa? You all have done so much for Goa. How's been the journey?
I don't think we do everything for film too, but of course we are doing as much as we can. I think in the last few years at Sunaparanta especially, we've had a movement towards supporting local culture in a big way, not just in terms of a platform but also financial help as and when needed. So we have emerging artist grants that have come out, fellowship grants that have also come, and in fact one has gone to a filmmaker, Nalini, whose film was shown on this last day of the film. And Nalini is a filmmaker and a woman and a Goan who's kind of won the inaugural grant of the fellowship. So that's very exciting for us. Of course, being part of a family like mine, you are you're blessed from the beginning. You really won from the beginning, and I think we've always learned right from my grandfather how to really give back.
Yes.
And that's the most important thing. I think when we come here, I hope all artists feel very welcome to approach us with all of their projects. Any way we can help, offering a platform is one step, but we of course have other programs like our mentorship program, a residency, fellowships, grants, all of that exists. So we hope more people come forward and apply, and we do give a priority to Goans, of course.
Which are the other core areas that you all would be looking forward to give grants other than films?
None of our grants actually, Savio, are for a specific purpose. They are open to visual artists across the spectrum. So you can be a filmmaker as much as a sculptor, a painter, a performer. It's just about the strength of your application, and we of course do give a priority to Goans.
Before you took over as a patron here, you've had a lovely stint in the US of A. You were at Stanford University. How was your experience there?
It was great. I think it's been a learning experience from the beginning. I'm a very curious soul, so I like to constantly learn. I'm always trying to gain new skills, things like that. I've had a management background and a media background, so I think it's a very rounded one. And of course, I'm learning every day here with a fantastic team of women that I work with here. So that's good.
And final question, away from work, what's a day in the life of Ishita like? You love travel, you love photography and stuff like that. So tell us more.
I do love travel and photography, and I also love my garden very much. So I spend a lot of time, as much time as I can, being outdoors. Sometimes the girls here, my team here, who I very affectionately call the girls here, I make them, we do walking meetings, so we'll be walking around outside. It doesn't really look like we're doing work, but we get things done. Anything I can do being outside and in nature. I think like all Goans, we love being outside if you can. Somehow the heat doesn't bother us as much.
There you go, Ishita Salgaonkar. Whatever you may do in future, just like the flowers in your garden, may it always be blooming as much as possible. Thank you for joining us.
And thank you for your support. Thank you so much.
Awards sit lightly on the slim shoulders of this acclaimed director. Miransha Naik moves with consummate ease between fiction and reality as he speaks to Oreena.
We are on the second edition of Goa in Film, and with me I have a young director from Goa, Miransha Naik, whose film Ram is being screened at this festival. It was produced in 2014, Miransha. Give us a little background about the film.
So it's about a teenager's story. It's a struggle to lose his virginity. Like that's the basic plot of the film.
And when you did this film way back in 2014, what was the reception to it at that point, and how do you see the changes from then till now?
I think everyone was shocked. To see the film. But at the same time, the treatment of the film is such that, and I think, some famous directors, not a lot of directors have actually said it, or a lot of filmmakers have actually said it. So if you want to tell something dark, means like treat it funnily,
Okay.
And then, people won't complain so much. So, and that's, I think that worked to a
and this is something that it's on the mind of every teenager, but it's not openly spoken about. But don't you see changes from then till now?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I would say, like if you take last 10-15 years, I think we are going backwards, so things were much better, when we were teenagers.
Okay, a couple of years back you came out with another film called Zuze, and now you've put your hands to a Marathi production.
Yes.
Okay, what do you think, and where do you see Goan filmmakers and directors in this space of films in Goa or from Goa?
So when you talk about like Goan filmmakers, I think there's nothing called Goan filmmakers as such. We are all independent filmmakers. You know, there are a lot of promises and big dreams, you know, given to all the filmmakers, and that's what actually made me to make Zuze, you know, in Konkani.
Yeah.
It was a tough choice, and then we, at the end of the day, you know, we said that, you know, it's like at some point, you know, we'll get the subsidy and like, you know, we'll be able to recover some money, but we never got that. And the same mistake, you know, we did with Marathi film also. Yeah, so we still, our files are not accepted in for Zuze.
So you're completely independent. So
yes,
you've got to search for the finance, the funds, the venues to display, and the whole concept
and
is
even the audience.
And the audience, and the whole concept
like
is yours.
We in Goa, you know, we have a very small market.
Yes.
So and yeah, and you know. To some extent, you know, we filmmakers are also to be blamed here. I mean, we haven't made enough good films, you know, to have loyal audiences, you know. So, but for that to happen, you know, it has to work from all angles, you know.
But what about OTT platforms now? Film festivals like this, independent festivals, your OTT platforms, isn't there some kind of silver lining?
OTT also, you know, when you tell them, you know, it's a Konkani film, they don't want to take it, you know.
Okay.
So that's the reality. I mean, it was a. I mean, there was a very small time period, you know, when the OTTs were like, you know, aggressively buying contents. But that was there for a very only limited time. You know, after that, everyone wanted. I mean, Bollywood films. Yeah.
So if music be the food of life, play on. Many Goan musicians and composers have composed and been in film. Joe DeCosta speaks to Savio and tells us more.
Thank you so much.
Joe, you are always smiling when you are in Goa. So how is Goa treating you lately?
Goa is a land to be smile and always be smiling. In fact, it's such a lovely honor to be back in Goa all the time. Although I'm a Goan, but been out for quite some time, and it's great.
Yes. Joe, this 3-day festival is going on, and having bumped into you is such a wonderful experience. And you having been now for more than 2 decades in music and music production, and even music relating to film. So on that aspect, could you tell us more? How has been your journey in that sector?
In the music field.
Yeah,
it wasn't been so easy, because I started as any other regular musician, but I went and did my classical grades and all. So it was like a quick step, because I was sort of a focus in what I needed to do. So the time I got a break in Delhi with Savio and the Wings. So I performed there with him for 2 years. I straight away got into the studio line, because that's the thing what I wanted to get into, advertisement and so-called the creative world, you know. So that's where once I got into the studio, then the things were more open, and then I got into production, and then I came to know how the line is been beside being only with the band.
Yeah.
And I was doing a lot of work. I was doing work for Bombay by sitting in Delhi.
Yeah.
And so my work is to go to Bombay, and then some of the person noticed my name and, you know, the number which I used to write on the CDs. My CDs used to go there. So he said, "Hey man, like, you know, what are you doing?" So we like your work. We saw a lot of time your CDs written a name by, you know, Joe DeCosta. And then he called, "Would you like to be in Bombay?" So I was in Bombay.
Oh, okay. So one metro to another.
Yeah. I never ran in Bombay for work as such, but I was literally called. And 1 or 2 years, sort of the work was slow with whoever person had called me out. And I happened to have a friend from Delhi, a guy called Amit Mishra's brother of Sanjay Mishra, actor. So I spoke to Amit. I said, "Why don't you come down, because your brother is already an actor, established guy, so he may be a helping hand for us to do some music together." So he came down, and we got a couple of movies, and that's where we were.
Being a musician on stage is different to composing music for films. So how was this transition, and how did you manage it?
Okay, it was a different experience once I was in Bombay. So as I was working with some of the music directors, Even I met Amit Trivedi, Amit Mishra, then Preetham also we have worked in a couple of movies as a helping hand along with him. And the experience was quite amazing, in fact challenging, because there's such a huge talent in Bombay that if you try to make a couple of flaws, they just wait for it, and you've been taken over. So there is no chance of you being not, being serious. So the work process for me was quite challenging anyway, that I had to get through the crunch and through the narrow points to get it fulfilled. Yeah.
2 or 3 of the most memorable productions that you
I have worked with the movie Atiti Tum Kab Jaoge. I was a music arranger, composer along with Amit Mishra. Preetham is also a part of it. And this was done under the production of Ajay Devgan production. Kumar Mangat was the main person who was budgeting the whole thing. And the movie director was Ashwini Dheer. Ashwini Dheer is a guy who had also was doing office serials which were going office. Yes. That's the guy. And he was a wonderful director. So he used to brief us whatever music we needed, whatever way we needed to do. And he was so supportive because that was our first movie.
Yes.
When we were in Bombay, And it was a big budgeted movie.
Yes.
It was like a big screen. So we were so excited, happy, and we did, and it was a wonderful job. You
Fabulous.
can see the movie now.
The audience is king, and at film festivals, the king comes from far and near. Tsering Mutupsiddo speaks to us about his quest at this festival.
Tsering, tell me something about Ladakh and the Goa connection that you're looking at.
So my story started from the locals who've been coming here in the winter.
Okay.
To enjoy at the beach.
Okay.
From the mountain.
So winter for you and summer for us.
Summer for you.
Okay.
So people travel here. A lot of people who work at the tourism industry, like hotels and restaurants, they all shift back to Goa because it's a pleasant time and it's a good weather. So they enjoy working from here. And as soon as we meet them around the beach, they identify us
as another Ladakhi.
Yes,
okay.
So they start.
They have a conversation with you.
Yes, there is this. They wanted to make themselves familiar. They wanted to make home, and it is this idea that I wanted to further look and
explore their story,
deeply in, and how all of these tourism and this migration is affecting the culture and tradition and so on, and vice versa, that I'm trying to look at.
Okay, and maybe you will come out with it in a small novel form or in a film form. You're going to be a delegate here at the Goan Film program. So what are your thoughts on it? What are you planning to?
So I'm currently looking at from the medium perspective, I'm trying to look at photograph and videos as in a very documentary format, but not really certain about like what I'm going to do. And currently the film festival that is happening here is also helping me out in my ideation, since it has a lot of Goan filmmakers, which will give me a lot of context to what I'm really thinking of, and I'm looking forward to.
Choreographer, stage director, lecturer, and now resident artist at Sunaparanta, Ada Einmo from Norway speaks about her experiences in India.
And I have the privilege of having Ada with me, who's come all the way from Norway. She's been in India over the last couple of years. She loves being in Goa as well, trying to find things about. You're a choreographer, you're a director, you're a lecturer. How has it been over the last couple of years being here in India and,
Well, India for me is like Pandora's jewelry box. Every morning I open it, it's something new coming out, and people are so friendly, and they want to share, and it's so important. And I, of course, try to share what I can bring from my culture.
You've been working with many young budding, should we say, visual artists in Goa as well.
Yeah.
So how is it? Is there any connection you find between the Norway culture here in
many. So I used to say we share the similarities in the differences and the differences in the similarities.
Yes.
And that just enriches all of us, and this feeling when I watch a film or what and see, it's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same. I can relate, you know, just emotionally also, not just intellectually. So it's so good that this festival is here when I'm here and I can join and see. Wow.
Have you in the past watched any of the Indian movies? I'm sure you have. Anything?
Yes, I have. Of course, Bollywood.
Yeah.
But also short films here at Sunaparanta. They have some art films which I enjoy very much to show, and to see that our way of thinking is not that different. I mean, the people in power want to focus on the differences.
Right.
But it's so good to understand with your body from here. You can understand them. So, yeah. And I like to see with no subtitles, because I want just to see the pictures.
To feel
To feel it, yes, and the atmosphere. It's, yeah. Very
Terrific.
good.
Films are about spinning a tale. So Yash Kamath, a young filmmaker, spun that tale through the streets of Panjim.
So Suyash, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Your smile says it all. You've been in Panjim, lived in Panjim, brought up in Panjim. So this film, which is being showcased at the Goa Film Festival, tell us more about it. How did you come? Did it come to your mind, and how was the journey?
Yeah. So what happened is most of my schooling is in Panjim, right? It's in Mushtifund. So one of the nicer parts about having a school in the city was you go around the city, right? You go around the spaces in the city, and the bus stop used to be near ferry point, so you used to walk from there to the ferry point. So that walk also was very nice. And you've always crossed by many places in Panjim. You know, Panjim is so densely beautiful. And one of those places was Cafe Prakash, which usually you pass by and you notice it. But I've never, as a child, I never went in or, you know, that way. And when lockdown happened, I was just going around Panjim trying to sneak away from the cops at times to click pictures, because Panjim deserted, I had never seen it like that, you know. And it's gorgeous, like it's gorgeous. So I was every day going out, clicking pictures, and so one day I happened to just walk by Cafe Prakash and I noticed the grill. And if you see the grill, the name of the cafe is inscribed in the grill, in the metal grill itself, which is quite unique. You don't see that kind of architecture around.
It's not so common.
It's not so common. So, and I clicked a picture. I think I posted it on Instagram. I got a lot of like replies, and 2 days later, my father I was sleeping, and it was raining quite heavily for those 2-3 days. You know, it was continuously raining. We couldn't step out. So my dad woke me up saying, "Hey, you were talking about this place the other day. I think there's a WhatsApp video going around saying part of it sort of came down."
Oh.
Because I think it was like there were 2 parts to that cafe, so one of it sort of collapsed or something, and I was like, okay, I need to just shoot this. I don't know why I felt like, okay, let me just, because see, I have seen Panjim change over time, right? And I've always wondered, and this is something I'm curious about cities and about how they change and how they look and how they identify themselves. Yeah. So someday we wake up and we suddenly realize, oh, the city is not the same, but you never know why. Yeah. Because over time, small parts of it, not just the interiority but the exteriority as well, these keep changing, right? Yes. So I thought, okay, let me just document this. I don't know what's going to become of it. It will become a film, it will just remain footage in my hard drive. Yeah. I don't know. I just want to shoot this. So I picked up my camera. I didn't even have a mic. I just called a friend he's saying, okay, he's coming to Panjim. I said, get your mic. I didn't have a tripod. There was a camera store beside. I said, can you rent me the tripod for like, give me like 1 day, give you a tripod. So I just gave him some rent money. I got the tripod.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Whatever I needed to document this. That's all I knew. Okay, just the debris being taken away. Yeah. Like I didn't know if this had any material value. Yeah. And then what happened was that I sat on that material for a while, for months. I didn't know what to do with it. I wrote a fictional scenario where maybe it's a story of 2 lovers who used to meet there or something like that. And I thought I'll interspeed this footage between that. It wasn't working. And very serendipitously, I think there was an article, and I study in Calcutta, right? So there was a very interesting article which just felt like it is too personal to me, which is about the colonial hangover of fried snacks between Panjim and Kolkata. I'm like,
really?
how
Yeah, what a coincidence.
what a coincidence can it be? And in that article, there was a link to a video to Cafe Prakash, which was shot by Frederick Noronha.
Okay.
And in that video, Frederick Noronha very casually, this is shot in about 2008, he's just going around the cafe asking to people, why do you like to frequent this place? That simple.
It was also a haunt for journalists actually.
It was, so
Yeah.
that's how I realized all this, right? I read about the history, but I saw a video and there are people speaking about the place so passionately, and I'm like, I got it. These people in 2008 are speaking about 1970 and my film is in 2020.
Yeah.
So it's 3 time zones speaking about change. So I thought it will be a great way to just put them together and just make like a small note.
Cutting across generations.
To a place which might just be forgotten, right? But it's important to remember these small corners of the city. So that's like...
many of the youngsters who are listening and watching this interview with you will surely get inspired. But talking about inspiration, who are the Indian filmmakers or even foreign filmmakers who have inspired you through your career?
I think in India, one name which is of course is the master of everything is Satyajit Ray. I mean, there is no back and forth to it. I was recently at a film festival in Odisha, and which featured a lot of young Indian filmmakers and their films, and they were doing a Satyajit Ray retrospective, and for some reason Ray's films felt more contemporary than any of us trying to do anything. I mean, he was way ahead of his time. And apart from that, I think in Marathi there's Umesh Kulkarni, and his films are great, his short films are even better. And he's very supportive of young filmmakers who are trying to make something. He's into teaching, so I think he's a great filmmaker. And abroad, I think there are many of them across different countries. So I like Aki Kaurismäki from Finland, or Roy Andersson, Emir Kusturica. So these are filmmakers from different parts of the world, but I think they have this common human connect. And it is great that a lot of people, when they saw Sadabar, they told me, oh, they saw this filmmaker's influence in the film. And I'm like, okay, that's great and not good, but I'm glad that, you know, it shouldn't show up, but it's showing, so I'm okay. Yeah.
There you go, Suyash Kamath, inspired by the greatest of them all, Satyajit Ray. And Suyash, thanks for joining us, and may you be a ray of hope to many aspiring filmmakers over the years.
Just one of them. I'm just trying to do what I want to do. I don't know if it could be inspiring or not, but I just make what I want to make.
Thank you for joining us, Suyash Kamath.
It's woman power all the way at the Sunaparanta Centre for Arts. The team powering the festival Goa in film spoke to us at Doordarshan.
And I'm very happy to have with me the 3 ladies, actually there were 4, but well, one of them is not here, who have been instrumental of the festival and everything that happens here at the Goa Centre for the Arts. We have Leandre, we have Tina Kos, she was part of the film club that started here at Sunaparanta, and the baby among the group is Abigail right here. I think I'll start off with you, Leandre. Let's speak about this, the 2nd edition. If you could quickly run us through it.
All right, just to quickly introduce Sunaparant, when we began, our chairman, Mr. Dattaraj Salgankar, his vision was that Sunaparanta would be a space that would be a bridge between Goa and the rest of the country, and then of course the international world. The idea and the vision has always been to create a space where different kinds of creative practitioners could gather, where they could share their ideas and exchange knowledge. Over the years, our programming includes visual arts, performance, theatre, and of course film being one of the main areas of our work. Since our inception, in fact, we used to run this film club that we started with our former director, Margaret Mascarenhas.
Yeah. So this is in 2009 that we began the film club, and since then, over the years, it has really grown, our members, and of course during the pandemic we had to put a stop to the screenings, but occasionally we did have some screenings here and there. And Goa in film is one kind of initiative that Sunaparanta has taken to get the Goan filmmakers to the fore. so that people know, and the audience, it's not only the Goan audience that we want them to make known to, but the world. So something that we have started, and this is the second edition. Hopefully we should, this would be a global thing for our own Goan filmmakers. So that is what we have in mind.
So the idea with the festival, with the first edition, and now as we continue with the second edition, is to create a space where we can gather the fraternity, not just enjoy the films, but also discuss what are the different subjects that they're exploring, and also to sort of reflect upon what is the future of Konkani cinema, where it is headed, and how can we create these connections or for collaborations between different filmmakers and artists and actors and color correctors, etc., right here in Goa. So the idea has been also to create this sort of platform where the audiences can also meet directly with the filmmakers.
So apart from telling us your role behind the scenes, at the film festival, you can also tell us about one of your favorite films.
Yeah, so I basically design the posters and also the mailers at Sunaparanta. So for me, my favorite film would be The First Wedding, because it's a very different, unique kind of way to showcase something which is there but also not there. So for me, that was one of the. It's also a short film, so yeah. So that is the best thing.
While watching the films, but also getting to know a few of the filmmakers, it's also impressive to see and observe how these young filmmakers of today, our Goan filmmakers, are creating and carving their own paths in spite of, say, a paucity of resources, and nothing is stopping them. They're just going ahead and making their films, and that's another thing.
Yes,
that we want
in fact,
to.
now I think with the advent of technology, you don't need to have like a huge budget to make your films. So how easy or difficult has it been to source films?
The response was quite good actually, and we are just showcasing 6 filmmakers in this festival. But we do have a lot of filmmakers out there whom we will do over a period of time. And it's a little difficult. At the same time, we know that they are waiting to be showcased.
Yes, I'm sure every director, somebody who comes up, produces a film, looking forward to a space where he can showcase his talent. Yes.
And we are happy that Sunaparanta is this platform for them to come. And if they are watching us right now, they can just come to us. Whoever we don't know, we have not met as yet, they can still come to us, and we are open to screening more films.
Yes, so there you hear it right from the 3 ladies who are the brain, the backbone behind the film festival here. But you have to make sure that you come and visit Sunaparanta Centre for the Arts here in Altino, Panaji. Whether if you're in the film industry, you're an artist, you're in any creative content, this is one lovely place where you get an opportunity to showcase your talent, because sometimes you might be there somewhere out and we don't know about you. But if you have something that you'd like to showcase it to the globe, this is the place you have to be. Thank you so very much, ladies, for sharing your time with